It's Wednesday, August 31. In the headlines, overseas plastics are said to be polluting Jamaica's shorelines. Regionally, Trinidad celebrates 60 years of independence. And in sports, $11 billion earmarked for the national stadium. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Simone Absalom Gale. Director of Environmental Management and Conservation at the National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, Anthony McKenzie, says the highest collected items from the sea and shorelines on the island are overseas plastic items. While speaking at the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation's Plastic Forum in St. Andrew on August 29, Mr. McKenzie reaffirmed the fact that plastic is posing a severe environmental risk for not only the island, but the region.
The 10 top collected items on our shores are plastics. In particular, 60% are actually plastic bottles, the typical PET bottles that we know of. In 2019, they were the top contenders for pollution on our beaches across the island. Now, and if you frame it in a regional context, in a survey that we recently did, upwards of 4% of the plastic on our coastline are from outside sources, meaning they have been taken from other countries and deposited on our shoreline.
To combat the issue of the continual improper disposal of plastic on the island, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Senator Matthew Samuda, says plans are being made to implement a mandatory deposit refund scheme.
Jamaica, the end of this financial year, if myself and Ms. Gillian Guthrie can work with the lawyers, will have a legislated deposit refund scheme. The issue is so big that we cannot leave it to those who feel like being good citizens. We will legislate it. Judging from my colleagues' nod, we will have the votes of the opposition to support it. That's a very important point. That system will have to work with customs, the NCRA, BSJ, NEPA, NSWMA, and indeed the Ministry of Industry in ensuring that the way we implement it is done seamlessly, it causes no disruption to supply and production, and it is done in a way where it does not trigger further inflation.
In addressing the idea of a total plastic ban, Senator Samuda says that isn't a feasible option at present.
Quite frankly, you can't, because the alternative is glass, and globally there's a glass shortage. So I think that also needs to be put on the table, that whereas we encourage glass usage, especially where it can be reused and sterilized, etc., which also causes its own issues because there's runoff and effluent issues and public health and safety issues with bottles, but you can overcome those. You can't ban plastic bottles in this current space. I don't know if there'll be some global event that makes glass far more available and cleaner ways will come to sterilize it. But as it stands now, that's not an option.
Jamaica's deposit refund scheme aims to increase the percentage of plastic bottles collected for recycling. The deposit fee in the deposit refund scheme is charged when someone purchases the item and is refunded to the purchaser when the bottle is returned through a specifically designed system. Member of Parliament for Westmoreland Western, Moreland Wilson, says more needs to be done to increase water efficiency in parts of the island. Mr. Wilson issued the call for more to be done while making his contribution at the commissioning ceremony for the non-Pariel Retirement and Orange Hill Water Project in Westmoreland on August 26.
It's something that we have to look at in a more long-term plan. So when I say long-term, Negril, for example, contributes a third of tourist income to Jamaica. So we are a significant economic part of the engine of economic growth. And with the water system such as Retirement, which feeds the dormitory communities of Brighton, Orange Hill, Retirement, etc., it is very important for our workers and our citizens, residents, to have access to portable water.
MP Wilson states that within his constituency, there are a number of communities without convenient access to water, but notes the issues won't be solved overnight.
So we have 18 communities without water, and that's a lot. Now, this particular system is going to leave just 17. So we are working. Mr. Smith laughing. We are working, but we know that this is not, and I want to put it on record that this is not something that's going to be fixed overnight. And I do understand the challenges with budget, etc.
Vice President of the National Water Commission, Kevin Carr, says the Commission will implement plans to erect infrastructure in Rain River to assist residents in surrounding communities with current water problems.
The NWC is planning to construct a new water treatment plant in Rain River in Savlamar to mitigate the impacts of drought and to provide some assurance for the service reliability from the Savlamar to the Negril environment as well.
Mr. Wilson makes reference to future plans for water infrastructure in Rain River running to Negril, which would assist in alleviating connectivity issues.
That system will go through the 5 divisions. It will go to Friendship, Grangeville, Little London, Sheffield, and Negril. So that would basically solve all my water issues.
Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett has disclosed that the World Travel Awards Caribbean and North America will be held in Jamaica following a hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
And we are delighted that Jamaica is the venue that will have the first travel awards after the pandemic. We applaud the work of Graham Cook, the managing director and chairman, and we welcome his young son Justin to Jamaica.
Minister Bartlett says the return of the awards signifies a better standing for universal tourism.
We welcome the renewal of the World Travel Awards to Jamaica, the Caribbean, and the Americas. The return of the World Travel Awards signals a strong recovery of the global tourism.
The World Travel Awards Caribbean and North America 2022 is scheduled for August 31 at the Sandals Montego Bay Resort. This will be the island's 8th time hosting the event. Jamaica has received a number of accolades from the World Travel Awards, including Caribbean's leading tourist board for 13 consecutive years and the Caribbean's leading destination for 15 consecutive years. The World Travel Awards were created in 1993 to acknowledge, celebrate, and award excellence across all areas of travel, tourism, and hospitality industries. The award is noted globally as the pinnacle of standards in the tourism industry. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government is learning from the past and planning quite adeptly and strategically for the future. He made the comment while speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony for the Sandown Palms housing development in Portmore, St. Catherine. The $1.7 billion development will be a gated community.
This community will have 148 housing solutions with 142 semi-detached townhouses and 6 standalone units of a similar design. The average lot size for the semi-detached units will be 146 square meters, and the average lot size for the standalone unit will be 205 square meters.
He notes that there will be options for expansion at the rear of the units, a play area for children, and hard courts for sporting facilities.
So this will be a lovely community with all the amenities to improve the quality of life for the persons who will be homeowners here. I can just imagine it when it is completed. Looking at the rendition of the design, it looks like it will be a very beautiful facility when it is done.
The Prime Minister also discussed the instances of unregulated expansions and commercial activities within housing schemes in general. He notes that these activities contribute to public disorder.
We have given a directive in collaboration and in consensus with the mayor it's not new, as Fitz pointed out, that there should be a pre-designed expansion plan with options. So the developer, the purchaser of the unit would have 2 or 3 expansion plans. And these plans should be pre-approved by the municipal authority, which is the Spanish Town, the St. Catherine Municipal Authority. And the mayor has undertaken, and we agree, that those plans, no fees would be charged.
Mr. Holness is urging the Portmore Municipal Council to take that no-fee policy being used by the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation under advisement. In the business report, JPS ups investment in grid modernization. We have more on this, plus other updates from Danita Rodney.
The Jamaica Public Service JPS Company Limited will invest an additional $41.9 million in its grid modernization plan, which is now in its final phase. According to JPS, the company has invested over $150 million in the plan, which aims to empower customers, fuel the growth of businesses, and support national development. With smarter grids in place, the company will be better able to respond to the needs of its clients. In market updates, in foreign exchange trading for Tuesday, August 30, the US dollar sold for an average of $151.53. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $116.81, and the euro sold for an average of $153.57. The following reflects the movement of the JSE indices in Tuesday's trading session. The JSE index advanced by 622 points to close at over 300,000 units. The junior market index advanced by 9 points to close at over 4,000 units. The combined market index advanced by 663 points to close at over 300,000 units. And the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by 528 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 114 stocks, of which 43 advanced, 53 declined, and 18 traded firm. Stocks advanced for Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, Cargo Handlers Limited, and Caribbean Cement Company Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, 1834 Investments Limited, and Access Financial Services Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited Variable Preference, CAC 2000 9.5% Cumulative Redeemable Preference Shares, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. The overall volume leaders were Diamond Trading Company Limited with over 13 million units, Mayberry Investments Limited with over 6 million units, and Mailpat Group Limited with over 3 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Glico Investment Fund was the volume leader with over 20,000 shares, followed by Calypso Macro Index Fund with a volume of 85 shares being traded. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, 0 securities were traded. In regional business, the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association has given its sign of approval following the signing of an MOU between Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago on Monday.
In a release on Tuesday, the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association applauds the signing of the MOU, which it sees as a landmark that will deepen and strengthen the existing trade relations between the two states. The TTMA says it looks forward to this MOU in establishing the trade complaints mechanism that seeks to provide transparent communications in addressing concerns. The association says it fully supports this initiative as it will further the development of the CARICOM single market and economy. It will assist in the removal of non-trade barriers and restrictions and continue the development of each country's economy.
In market data for oil prices continue to slide on investor worries about the state of the global economy, bearish oil demand signals, and increased COVID-19 restrictions in China. Brent crude futures were down $2.78 at $96.53 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude futures were down $1.31 at $90.33 a barrel. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, Trinidad and Tobago is celebrating its 60th anniversary of political independence from Britain with the return of the traditional military parade that had been absent for the last 2 years due to the coronavirus pandemic. The government had announced a series of cultural and other activities to mark the island's Diamond Jubilee. Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, is there participating in the celebrations. In an address to the nation, President Paula May Weeks urged citizens to carry out a daily ritual of affirmations to collectively manifest a better Trinidad and Tobago. In his message, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said that in the last 60 years, Trinidad and Tobago has made vast strides in its development. Meanwhile, the Caribbean Community Grouping said the people of Trinidad and Tobago should, quote, be proud of their outstanding achievements and of the indelible contributions to the Caribbean region and the world. The nation's citizens have a record of excellence in the creative arts, academia, diplomacy, and sports, end quote. Healthcare workers across every major hospital in Belize staged multiple walkouts and protests on Monday. They wanted the government to know enough is enough, as we hear from 7 News Belize.
Healthcare workers in the west, the north, the south, and right here in Belize City walked out of their respective hospitals with their placards held high and marched through the streets in a countrywide protest. And these nurses, doctors, drivers, and even lab technicians all stood united because for years they've been dealing with being underpaid and overworked. But the trigger that launched the protests was that they were all working far more hours than they're being paid for. And in the capital city, at the country's second largest hospital, the workers walked out at 7:30 a.m. and paraded through the nearby streets of the Western Regional Hospital. The nurses explained that even with their pay being cut short, they're still expected to buy basic supplies like food and water during their shift.
And whenever the overtime comes in, it is always short. We are not being paid in full what we are being worked for, what we are working for, and we're tired of this. Sometimes we have to join together to even buy basic water for us to drink on our ward when the water is finished. We're entitled to 1 meal per shift, and that is only during the morning shift. And if you go to the kitchen, sometimes the cook will tell you the food is finished. So if you don't have money to buy your food, then sorry that you're on your own. And it goes a long way. We don't have enough gas. We're being told that we have to utilize the gas wisely. You can't tell me to utilize gas when I'm doing a delivery if somebody is bleeding and I have to limit what I'm using. Everything nurses have to find a way to shortcut everything so that we could make everything stretch everything like elastic.
In the Bahamas, education officials say this year they are putting more attention on special needs students across the country. This comes after the realization that students with special needs have been a long-neglected demographic. Education Minister Glenys Hannah Martin says her ministry is striving for more resources this year, including teachers.
We have a deficit in special needs teachers during the virtual education instruction. Those students would not have been able to cope appropriately because the modality of teaching special needs children, the virtual reality would not have been suitable. And so they would have really been denied during this period. So we want to ensure that we create spaces in as many schools as possible for special needs children, and that we have the appropriately trained teachers to ensure that those children, where it can happen, that they can be self-sufficient and they can be able to manage themselves in their own lives.
In Barbados, there is fresh hope that schools can return to normal come mid-September with the recent ease in COVID-19 protocols, with vaccines now available for a wider range of students. The National Council of Parent-Teacher Associations has been reacting to the news regarding the end of social distancing mandates.
There is some concern among parents about, the length of time that children will be having to wear masks and so on. That is still a concern. But now we have that the social distancing is no longer going to be in place. I'm sure that is going to be a welcome avenue for the kids to be having more social interaction, similar to what they would have had before COVID. I am thinking that they will welcome this opportunity to add a layer of protection to their children going back into school, especially if it means that they would be back in, it would lean towards more of the children being back in fully and not having to go 2 days here, 3 days there, and so on. So I am thinking that we will have to really survey our parents and see what their feelings are presently. But I'm thinking that persons will welcome the layer of protection.
In Guyana, the government hopes to strengthen local institutions and oversight bodies to fight corruption, but improving connectivity amongst citizens is seen as a challenge that requires much focus.
There have been a number of interventions using technology, including the social media platforms, Facebooks, etc., by the government to try to ensure the public is better informed. It is a process that has to go forward and has to be developed as we go along, and where we also have to deal with the other platform, and that is connectivity and ensuring that connectivity improves across the country so that every citizen, whether they're living in Eturbang or whether they're living in Aishaltan or Shulinab or Tassawin, that they can also see and have access to this information. And that is a process that is ongoing in terms of creating the connectivity and the equipment that needs to be to do that. And so that's a process that we're working on, because this is one in which people get information. Information is power. People make decisions based on information. And if they're given accurate information or evidence-based or fact-based information, they are more able to make decisions with regards to their lives and what happens.
In international news, humanitarian organizations in Pakistan are struggling to get aid to more than 33 million people affected by the worst floods in decades. More than 1,000 have died since the monsoon rains began in June.
Until the monsoon rains came last week, Barkat Ali's was the newest house in the village.
It started raining. My neighbors sent their children to my house as well because my place was new. It was safe. There was no fear. Suddenly, at 2 in the morning, there was a loud crash and the entire roof came down.
16 women and children were asleep inside at the time. Ali's wife, young son, and 3 other children were crushed to death. He feels helpless, he says, his household wiped away.
In sports, American sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson edged Jamaica's Olympic champion Elaine Thompson-Herah by 1/100th of a second to win the women's 100 meters in Luzerne on Tuesday. On a wet track with a strong headwind, Richardson sprinted the victory with a time of 11.29 seconds ahead of Thompson-Herah's 11.30 and American Cilera Barnes' 11.40. It was Richardson's first race since the American Outdoor Championships in Eugene in June. She had failed to qualify for July's World Athletics Championships in both the 100 meters and 200 meters. Thompson-Herah, on the other hand, has been busy, having competed at the World Championships, Commonwealth Games and Diamond League meetings in the past 2 months. The Jamaican had been looking to bounce back after she missed out on a podium at the Diamond League meeting in Lausanne last week after she was disqualified for a false start. She had previously won in Eugene and Rabat. St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots will start their defense of their Hero CPL title on home turf against Jamaica Talawas in the opening match at Warner Park on Wednesday. St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots are ready after winning the inaugural men's 60. Captain Dwayne Bravo says this is the right challenge for him.
Yeah, last season I made a decision to leave TK and challenge myself differently in a different way to keep myself motivated for the game and to try and help others develop their game and their cricket. So I think I made the right decision at the right time, and luckily enough, last season we won the trophy, which given St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots their first ever CPL title. So, a few days ago, the very first ever Universe Bosch Trophy we also held here in St. Kitts. We won it, so it's a good foundation we started to build, and we started to believe as a franchise, as a team, that we can also be a dominant force in CPL, and that's our challenge, that's our aim, and we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to defending our title, and not only that, but we just look forward to playing a brand of cricket to entertain the fans and make our franchise owners and the island of St. Kitts and Nevis proud.
Chris Green, who has returned to the Jamaica Tallawahs as captain, says he is happy to be back.
3 good years at Guyana, and then being able to come back to Jamaica again this year. So this is now my 2nd year with the franchise, and there's some familiar faces from last year, and then also some new familiar faces, if you like. I spoke about Kingy. I've played a lot of cricket against Fabian. They're two guys that are very passionate about Jamaica and excited about playing for Jamaica. So, for me, I get on really well with a lot of these guys, and there are a few new faces that I met, and everyone's sort of gelling really nicely. And as I said, that's been probably the biggest benefit of playing the 60 is we got to play together as a team. Very special. We've got 2 absolute legends on our coaching staff, with Shiv as head coach and then Sir Kirtley as our bowling coach, which is pretty special. As a kid, you hear stories and you watch games of these guys dominating world cricket and, on the world stage doing really, really well for the West Indies. I think Shiv has been an incredible player, and just the insights he has on the game. We all watched him do what he does in the long format of the game, but T20 cricket is still cricket. He talks about watching the ball, the importance of finding the gaps, timing, setting a solid base, and it doesn't matter whether you're trying to hit the ball for 6 or hit it for 1, or bat for 5 days or bat for 10 balls. The fundamentals of the game, I certainly believe, are the same, and I think that's what Shiv brings and Sir Kirtley brings as well. They keep things very, very simple. They instill incredible amount of belief in the players, and they want them to go out and express themselves, and I think those are the basics of T20 cricket.
Green says the just concluded 60 tournament was a great preparation for his side.
For the guys who got a little bit of time in the middle, hitting the ball clean, it was really good for them, good confidence boost before our 2 games that we have here. And then for the bowlers, it was an opportunity to try out new things, particularly when batsmen are coming hard at us. So, practice a few death options, practice a few variations, because, in those pressure situations, come the CPL starting tomorrow, we can perhaps use some of that to our advantage. So that was the 60. And from a team perspective, I think our preparation's going really well. We're starting to gel as a unit. I think that was probably the biggest benefit of the 60 is you get to play as a team before the tournament starts. So those moments where you're sort of stuck finding your feet, where to go, how the team operates, we've kind of got a little bit of that out the way now. And we come into the CPL really excited about what this team can achieve.
6 teams in the men's section will be doing battle for this year's trophy. The action starts at 6 p.m. Jamaica time. Before this match, the ladies will take to the field at 2 p.m. Jamaica time. The match will see the Trinbago Knight Riders women going up against Barbados Royals. Again, this will be at Warner Park in St. Kitts and Nevis. The Jamaican government is about to spend 11.6 billion Jamaican dollars, or $76 million US, on the redevelopment of the National Stadium in Kingston. The current structure, which is 60 years old, will be redeveloped under the Jamaica 60 Legacy Program, which targets the construction and redevelopment of major infrastructure across the island. General Manager for Independence Park Limited, Major Desmond Brown, says the stadium complex will be modernized with state-of-the-art facilities. Mr. Brown notes that the current structure no longer meets international standards, so this redevelopment is critical. He did note that some work has been done over the years to keep it going. One such project was the resurfacing of the running track, which carried a price tag of 60 million Jamaican dollars. And that's the news. Thanks for making it PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.